In today's video, we're going to be making scrunchies. For this tutorial, I'll be using a silk bridal satin remnant from some project that I did in the past. You will need less than a meter of fabric to do this, and an elastic band, half-inch elastic band. 18 inches will be the maximum you will need for this project. If you want to see how I achieved this, especially how I attached elastic band without the use of safety pin, stick around. I'll see you in my next video. For this project, you need a half-inch elastic band, you need about half yard, a matching thread, and less than a meter of bridal satin fabric. You want to cut your fabric into a rectangle measuring 22 inches in length by 5-inch width, and then you just sew the sides together. This scrunchie will require no safety pins or any need for insertion, as we are going to be inserting the elastic band while we sew. After you are done sewing the sides of the elastic band, you want to trim out unnecessary thread, loose thread hanging around. You want to trim out loose thread hanging around. Then you are going to take the two edges and hold them together and keep them away, and then we take the seams of the other edge and pin together. After you're done pinning, you want to check to see that it's only the seams that you pin together. You do not pin any other edge, just these two edges that have the seams that you pin together. You want to keep the other edges of the scrunchie away as much as possible. Then we're going to grab our elastic band and measure out 12 inches. I use that kind of length. People use about 8 inch, 9 inch, but I use 12 inch because I want to be able to wrap my scrunchie into two. And then I'm going to tie it together and secure it properly. You want to tie it like 2 to 3 to 4 times so that the elastic band is properly secured. And then you're going to trim out the edge of the elastic band. Now, in between that seam that you pin together, you want to take the elastic band, place it in that seam, and then pin it. While you are pinning, you want to make sure that the elastic band is out of the way so that you don't sew on the elastic band. I don't know if this makes sense, but you want to take every other thing out of the way, just your seam that the needle should sew. So you want to take it to your machine and then you give it a stitch. So while sewing, you want to take every other thing out of the way of the seam. You want to take away the elastic band, you want to take away the seams of the other raw edge, just this particular seam. You will eventually get to the other raw edge while you are sewing. As you sew up now, it's going to begin to scrunch up a bit because of the elastic band, so you just keep pulling out the edge as you go, and you do this till you get to the very end of the other side of the seam. Before the other end of the seam, you want to leave about 1 inch. You want to leave about 1 inch seam allowance opening. So you want to leave about 1 inch opening, and that's what you're going to use to pull out the elastic and the scrunchie out. And this is what it's going to look like. So that opening you have now, you are going to change to a matching thread and then give it a top stitch at that opening. And there you have it, you have your scrunchies.